I am a single mother, and I live with my 10-year-old daughter. She used to love riding her bicycle in front of our house, but everything changed when a new neighbor moved in next door. When we first met, he looked at my daughter and his eyes lit up like Christmas lights. He knelt down to hug her, and at the time I thought he was just being friendly, so I let it happen. I wish I never let that happen, but I didn't know any better. 2 days later, I was walking my daughter to school when I noticed the guy staring at us from his window. I waved at him and he awkwardly waved back, which is when my mommy senses first started tingling. The same thing happened the very next day, and the day after that. One time I was too swamped with work and asked my daughter to walk by herself since her school is in the same neighborhood. When I picked her up in the afternoon, she casually mentioned how the new neighbor had followed her to school in the morning. I just got this nasty feeling in my stomach and decided to test it. The next morning, I let my daughter walk by herself again as I hid in one of the bushes. Sure enough, as soon as the guy saw that she was alone, he walked out of his house and started following her from 10 steps behind. I immediately ran to my daughter and held her hand while telling the guy to leave us alone. He took the hint, or so I thought. Since then, he started leaving gifts on our doorstep for my beautiful daughter, along with sticky notes that had comments about her outfit. I was horrified and decided to call the police. Well, they heard the evidence. I talked about and laughed it off like it was nothing. They said that this guy was just being a nice neighbor and I needed to stop overthinking. I was disgusted and felt so insulted that I simply put the phone down. The guy's actions and the police officer's words made me live in paranoia every single day. What if this guy showed up at the school claiming to be my daughter's father, and they sent her with him? When he installed cameras around his house that very clearly pointed straight at my daughter's bedroom window, I called the police again. This time, they told me that what he did on his property was his right, and I can't force him to take the cameras down. My paranoia got even worse, and despite them telling me this was harmless, I just knew something bad was going to happen. I was staying up at night just staring at his house, waiting for the moment he took it too far. And 2 months after he first moved in, it finally happened. At around 1 a.m., I saw the guy climbing the fence while holding a duffel bag. I panicked and grabbed the nearest weapon I could find, my late husband's baseball bat. The guy approached our back door and I ran at him at full speed before swinging the bat as hard as I could. I missed horribly and hit the door frame, but the guy got scared and stumbled backwards before falling on the ground, so I swung the bat again, and this time I didn't miss. I hit him straight on the head and saw a little blood splatter. Then I hit him again and again until he passed out completely. I staggered back into my house, locked the door, and collapsed from exhaustion. Another neighbor had heard one of his screams and they called the ambulance. They rushed the guy to the hospital while the police came to my house to investigate. The duffel bag he brought with him had several cameras in it along with voice recording equipment. Since the altercation occurred on my property, the cops had no choice but to finally acknowledge the threat and rule the incident as self-defense. As for the guy, he ended up with severe brain damage and was sent to a facility meant for the mentally insane.